there's a big push with personal brand and, essentially promoting yourself to be the business. How big of an impact can that have on a business sale if you are, for example, Darryl Coaching and you're trying to sell Darryl Coaching as Darryl?
Well, I'm not going to sell it, am I?
Hello and welcome to the We Built This Business podcast, the place for UK entrepreneurs and business owners who want to build a multi-million pound business. I'm Daniel O'Sullivan, founder of Red Cactus Events, Team Building Experiences and Shizoo Media. Speaking with some of the UK's most successful entrepreneurs, I will unpack their journey from startup to where they are today. Once a month, I will record a solo episode giving an inside look at our progress as we begin to build a $5 million revenue group in the event and media industries. If you want to build a multi-million pound business, you're in the right place. In this episode, I'm speaking with Darryl Bates-Brownsword, who is an expert in getting your business exit ready. I discuss with Darryl how to get your business ready to exit and how he can help. Let's head over to the podcast. Today, I'm pleased to have Darryl Bates-Brownsword from Succession Plus UK on the We Built This Business podcast, talking about how to prepare your business for sale. Darryl, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me, Daniel. Hey, based on our pre-conversation, I think you're going to be asking me some tricky questions, so I'll be on my toes today.
Well, Darryl, let's start by talking about Succession Plus UK. What is Succession Plus today?
Succession Plus is a consulting business where we work with the owners of businesses, typically between the 1 and 20, 30 million revenue mark, of business owners where they actually want to exit their business one day. And they work with us to make sure that when they want to exit, their business is going to be exit ready and the numbers are going to add up to give them what they want to do in their next chapter. So it's all about making sure that your business is sellable.
Excellent. Yeah, and we'll really go into detail of how to prepare that business today. But if I could just start, Darryl, by talking about how you got into advising businesses to prepare for sale and how Succession Plus was essentially set up.
Sure. Well, it goes back a few years. The story goes back because, as you noticed when you introduced me, it was Succession Plus UK, which implies that there's a Succession Plus elsewhere. And the elsewhere is Australia, where you may pick up my accent. It goes back, I guess, about 20 odd years before I moved to the UK, where I was in business with a group of people where we had a coaching business serving that same marketplace. And the focus was on helping them grow through the various stages of business. And what naturally happens as you get older, I guess, is that a number of your clients also get older and they want to exit their business. And while we were only focusing on the growth aspects and helping them grow with purpose and in an alignment with their vision and getting over the steps, while I was over here doing that and frankly getting a little bit bored of growth for growth's sake, I was also noticing that a couple of my clients or a number of clients and other business owners in the marketplace were going, hey, look, I want to build my business to the stage where I get noticed and someone comes and approaches me and offers to buy my business. And after seeing that a few times and those offers going through and the actual transaction not planning out as they'd first anticipated, I began to ask a bit more questions around, well, why is this not happening? And at the same time, my mate in Australia, a guy by the name of Craig West, was focusing heavily on succession and exit planning. So he had about a 10-year head start on me. And so I was getting to this point and I said, look, Craig, why don't we bring the brand over to the UK? There's a real need here. Business owners are not getting the exits they're hoping for, they're desiring. They're not even aware that they need to prepare their business specifically for exit. So let's get the brand over here. Let's get the tools that you're working with and let's start helping UK business owners, because only 1 in 5 are actually getting that successful exit. My research showed up. So that's how we got started. And we started in 2019 here in the UK. Looking back, not the best timing with COVID, but there you go.
So I think the big stat there was 1 in 5 get a successful exit. And
yeah, if you're lucky.
That is quite a statistic. Obviously, when a business is set up initially, like you say, for the growth phase, the sale part feels so far away. Why do you think that business owners do not prepare or do not start thinking about preparing a business for exit?
I think you just answered the question yourself. They start the business. They've got these big aspirations of what the business is going to become, and let's face it, when most of us start a business, uh, no one taught us how to run a business. We were good at something, and we've gone, well, I reckon I can turn that into a business and build a business around doing that. And most of us are good at our product or our offering or our service or whatever it is. And we learn by graft and hard work how to build a business around it. We learn to improve our sales. We learn that we've got to develop marketing skills. We learn that we've got to bring in some CFOs, and we've got to learn to do some resource management and planning. And we learn all these other things as we go. And most of the time, no one's teaching us this. Our accountant may throw some ideas in and help us, but no one, we didn't learn this. Even when you go to school and you learn marketing at uni, they teach you how to be a good marketer. They don't teach you how to run a marketing business. I did an MBA. They didn't teach you how to run a business in an MBA. They tell you the strategy and the corporate stuff, the nonsense. So business owners are going through their world and they're solving all of the immediate problems. Exit planning is something that's going to be nice to have one day, and they just assume that when the time comes, everything will sort itself out. And unfortunately, that's not the reality, because their businesses are just too risky to be acquired, is the bottom line. And that's why you end up with a result, just 1 in 5 actually get a deal. And that's not a good deal. They get some sort of deal.
Yeah, I mean, I did at university. I did business studies at university for 3 years, and then I went and did a master's in finance. And I came out, and after running the business for a year, I learned more than that 5 years, because
Yeah.
what I found is in those education parts, they were talking about how to be part of a large business, how to be part of a corporation.
Yep.
And any kind of exit was to do with multi-million pound
Yep.
valuations, to do with on the stock market, which when you're a small business owner is going to be so far away from reality, it doesn't have any impact whatsoever.
You're
So
right. It's just not relevant at all to your average SME business owner, which makes up most of the businesses in the economy. It's just crazy. We talk about the corporates because that's what everyone seems to know. And yeah, they employ a lot of people, but for mum and dad businesses, and I'm talking businesses that are generating 1 mil, 30, even 100 mil, yeah, significant businesses are still considered SMEs. And now once you're at the top end of that, sure, one of your exits could be becoming a public company, but there's so many businesses being sold through private means, and a lot of them are even being sold to the employees now. So there's lots of options available, and if you do your homework, you can prepare to suit.
exactly. So let's start with at what point should a business owner start preparing the business to sell?
Excellent question, and it's one I've asked a lot and asked a lot of other professionals myself. So the textbook will tell you that you should start thinking about your exit the day you open your business. And that's great, and it's a great theory, and academic models, yeah, if we do that, fantastic. So there's a couple of things. If you're thinking of getting funding and you want to get funding in, you really need to be thinking about your exit plan, because if someone's going to drop a wad of cash into your business, they want to know what their return on investment, how they're going to realize their return. So that's normally through an exit, and they don't want to wait forever until eventually you want to exit your business one day. So you need to start thinking about it if you're looking for investment in your business. So we'll just shift that one aside, because a lot of businesses don't take investment from investors. They might get some loans from banks and other funders, but they don't get investors. So still, you want to start, if you really want to maximize the valuation of your business, if you want to exit on your terms, and what I mean by that is getting a favorable exit where you're not exposed to unnecessary risk post the exit event, and you want to look after the business and the employees and the people who have helped you grow and develop the business over the years, you really want to be putting 3 to 5 years into your exit planning so that you can really get that smoothly on your terms. And it's a problem because it's not, people solve the problems that are in their face at the moment, the pressing need, that issue that they need solving now. And this is a pain, if you like. It's going to be a problem in the future. It's not a problem today. They're not feeling the pain of it today. So it just easily gets pushed back into the bushes. And so most people are going, right, well, I want to sell my business. And there's a lot of brokers out there going, oh, well, we can maximize your valuation, implying that everything can be done once you sign up with them. Now, all they're going to do is just knock your financials into shape and try and present your financials in a way that, look more attractive. But any savvy buyer is going to look right through that as soon as they start, digging a little deeper into your financials. So y- if you really want to look after yourself the best you can, and you want to, as an entrepreneur, you're often goal driven. So part of it is there's the challenge of going, hey, well, what can I do with this baby? I want to maximize it and get that that big number if I can, because that's the challenge. It's not about the number, it's about the challenge of how big can it be. Then you really want to give yourself a few years.
Makes complete sense. And because I've kind of followed the phrase that you should start with the end in mind on
Yeah,
nearly
I use
everything
that one.
nearly everything you do. If you start with the end in mind, it does help dramatically. But like you said, the reality is that I think it's 90% of businesses fail within 10 years. So
Yep.
when you flip it on its head, you go, well, I'll worry about that a bit later, right? Because I've got to worry about actually building something that someone might want to buy, let alone surviving as well. So the easiest route, and the route that I think the vast majority of business owners will go down, like you've talked about, is brokers. And I just wanted to talk to you about the position that brokers kind of play in the market. How, in your opinion, do they help business owners sell their business?
So if you've got a good broker, they're going to have a good network and they're going to know who's buying businesses. So when it comes time and you're at the broker, I guess, parts at the broker pay stage of your exit, then my encouragement is find a broker who's got experience in your industry and your region. Depending on the size of your business, this is more and more important. But if you've got a business in the size we're already talking about, 1.5 million plus in revenue in most industries, you've got a business that's pretty attractive and almost standalone. Like, you extract the owners out of a business like that, and it can keep the leadership team you'll have in place should be able to maintain it. They may not be at the level where they got the strategic experience to grow it and continue developing it without your input. So a good broker will have the right connections in your industry and the skills and experience to approach them and get a deal, or get a number of people interested in acquiring your business. The other thing where they're going to add some value, again, a good broker, is that they will jump in and they will know what valuations businesses are going for. They're not attached to your business because your business is your baby. So they're not going to get attached to the number. They're going to get attached to the deal because that's where their incentive is. And they will know how to do a sales process, because that's effectively what it is. It's just a sales process on how to maximize the valuation of your business and get the most out of the buyer without being emotionally involved. That's where I can see a good, and then hopefully if you're not got a good broker, you've also got a good lawyer who will make sure, and this is, two other components that you want here, is a really good lawyer who makes sure you don't get stuck with terms that expose you to unnecessary risk. And you want to get your accountant involved or a finance director involved early on. The finance director's not going to do your tax, but your accountant will make sure that you're structured and the deal terms are not tax burdensome, shall we say? Because, hey, why pay more tax than you need to?
Because yeah, the reason I mentioned brokers, obviously, with the market as it is, there is a lot of generalized brokers out there that are effectively marketing businesses for sale at a much higher inflated value than, let's say, they probably should be telling them that they're worth that. And
That's so
I,
carefully worded, Daniel. Well
yeah,
done.
I wanted to
Very
kind of
British.
find, I think, like you said, it's very important to find a broker that is and almost in your niche or in your industry specifically, because I've got experience of businesses that we've outreached to, and they've come to us with valuations that's 2 or 3 times what the company's revenue is. They have 3 employees, and if they're not in the business, then the business won't even exist anyway. So it is very hard to see and say to them, well, unfortunately, this business is not worth that piece, and the likelihood is that the broker is just picking up that marketing fee every year and keeping you on that trail. And unfortunately, come 3, 4, 5 years time, you'll still be looking for that exit plan. So yeah, that was my idea on the brokers. But obviously, I wanted to get down to where Darryl, where you can come in, and when you come into business owners, what you would start doing to prepare the business for sale.
Yeah, that's a great question. There's some great brokers and M&A consultants out there, and I've met a few, and they're doing a good job, and they're not just doing what you suggest and
Yeah.
offering seducing business owners with an inflated valuation of their business. So just the other thing there is that they don't all charge a marketing fee.
Mm.
They will they'll look at your business and they'll help you where they can. So that aside, what do? We're kind of a next door product to a broker or an M&A consultant or an investment banker if you're in the States. And what do is we go, hey, look, you want to exit, you've been thinking about exiting your business. You think, hey, look, I'm either stressed or tired or had enough or ready to
Mm.
retire or ready to move on to my next chapter, whatever it is. There's three things that business owners want to think about to get right. They want to make sure that the business is exit ready, i.e. the business is ready for new owners to step in and they shouldn't feel like it's much of a change. The owners need to be aware of what they're moving on to next. Entrepreneurs, business owners, where they've worked in their business for many years, it's consumed a big chunk of their life. So they're visionary people. They need to know what's going to get them out of bed once they leave the business. And when they say to me things like, well, I'm going to sit on the beach and drink pina coladas, I'll go, that's fantastic. What are you going to do in the second week? Because you're going to get bored with that really quickly, because you've been stimulated, you've been challenged, you've been driving, you've had massive responsibility. You're going to struggle just walking away and doing nothing. You're going to get bored real quick. So we've got to make sure the business is exit ready. We've got to make sure the owners are ready for exit. And we've got to make sure that the numbers add up to meet their expectations, whether it's a challenge goal, a financial freedom goal, or any other financial number that here's the minimum number I'm going to sell my business for. Well, let's make sure the business is actually worth that. So where we get involved is we come in and we go, look, we're going to do some due diligence on you, but we're going to do it on your side of the table. We're going to identify all the pain points you're going to have when someone comes to buy your business, but let's do it in advance so you feel it now so that you can fix those problems. So we'll show them, we'll evaluate the business from a buyer's perspective. And we'll go, look, your business is worth X today, from a buyer's perspective. But the valuation isn't just that. We give them a whole report and we go, here's all the analysis we did. Here's all the data points that a buyer would be doing on your business. And here's all the bits that they would love. And here's all the red flags that they wouldn't like. So part of it is we'll do some benchmarking and we'll do some analysis, global analysis for what other similar businesses are doing and just how they're performing. So we can go, hey, businesses your size, your sector, your industry, they're generally performing like this. You're either overpaying on your salaries or underpaying your people. You're overpaying on different other expenses. There's opportunities to improve here. So there's the first bit. Let's improve your profit for your current revenue. The next thing we do is we go, look, here's the other areas that a buyer would knock your business down, and therefore that would pull the multiple down in terms of your valuation. If you addressed all these other issues and you made your business actually attractive to a strategic buyer, here's the kicker or the increase in multiple that you could achieve. And so therefore there's an increased profit, ideally, and an increased multiple on your current revenue. Now, on average, what we found is when we do that analysis on businesses, the average gap, or you might say money potentially leaving on the table, is about a 30% difference. So a 30% difference in the current valuation and what they could have if their business was exit ready now. So that's at their current revenue. So you build 2 or 3 years onto that to implement everything in place and address all the needs and make sure everything's tickety-boo. You're going to get 3 years of growth in revenue as well, 3 years in growth in profit, and they're all the bits and pieces. Now, what are we looking for? We're looking for all of the things that a buyer is going to go, whoa, that's just a bit risky. So the big one is owner dependence. How much is the business owner involved in the business as opposed to working on the business? How are clients attracted to the market? Do clients come because they're attracted to you or your IP, your intellectual property, your brand? Why do clients come? Or are they coming because Daniel works there and Darryl works there? Are they attracted to the people? If they're attracted to the names of the people, you're in trouble. Next thing we'll be looking at is how the revenue is constructed. We'll be looking at all the governance and compliance and the record keeping in your business, how systemized it is, how repeatable it is, how capable the management team is. So there's a whole lot of issues, and these are all the intangible assets that just simply don't sit on your balance sheet. So your accountant and finance people aren't looking for these things because they're not on the balance sheet now. So this is the additional area where you can get involved and crank up the multiple side of your business and really stand out from the crowd and make it more attractive. Now, when you work on the intangibles, as I said, they don't show up on your financial reports. But if you put these strategies in place, they will increase your profitability and your attractiveness in the marketplace and your pricing and your profit. So they do show up on your financial reports indirectly, but it takes 1 or 2 years for them to show up. So that's one of the reasons why it takes so long to prepare your business, because you need to demonstrate that the strategies you've introduced are actually paying off.
So the personal brand side of things I thought was a really interesting piece that you said there, because obviously at the moment there's a big push with personal brand and, essentially promoting yourself to be the business. How big of an impact can that have on a business sale if you are, for example, Darryl Coaching, and you're trying to sell Darryl Coaching as Darryl?
Well, I'm not going to sell it, am I? Because it's like, who wants to buy Darryl Coaching when Darryl's not there?
Yeah.
So, and I know there's a big push in the marketplace for personal branding, but personal branding's, yeah, it's great, and it's great for you, and it's great for people like Richard Branson, who's got a great personal brand, but he's also got the Virgin brand, and he's got Virgin Money and Virgin Me and all the various Virgin companies. For an SME, yeah, we want them to be, a key person of influence out there, which is great. But we also need if you've just got a single face of the brand, it really makes it hard for your business to be exitable. You want to build your business brand alongside so that we know, Darryl, he's the founder of Succession Plus. And therefore, so let me have a look at Succession Plus, because that's how he operates. He operates through Succession Plus. Let's have a look at that. Succession Plus that's a good brand. It's got IP. It's not just Darryl working in Succession Plus sharing his knowledge because he's done it a million times before. It's Darryl who's trained a number of people in the methodology. Oh, and look, there's the methodology. They can share and explain the methodology to me. Oh, I can see how that methodology makes sense and it solves my problems. Oh, Darryl's just a figurehead and he's a face of the company. Oh, that's cool. Maybe we can pay him to promote and do some ads for us in the future. That'd be cool. But we don't need Darryl in the business to make the business run.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very important point, just because I've heard a lot recently about it's more important to build your personal brand than your business brand. And I've always gone, but if my personal brand is the only thing that associates with this business and this business is not known, then when I leave or when I exit, that business isn't going to continue to make the money that it would necessarily. So I think, yeah, no, it's an important point.
It's a really good point, Dan, and I think it's important for people who are hearing this message to go, who's telling me that, giving me this advice? Are these the people who are out there saying all you got to do is these 3 things with your marketing strategy, and I can make you millions and make you an overnight millionaire? Or have they got some sound business credibility and credentials that make them worth listening to? And then you want to dig behind that message and go, what's the reason they're suggesting that? Are they just saying, do that, listen to as I say? Or are they saying, do this because, and if they can give you a sound argument or a sound reasoning behind it, then is worth considering and exploring further.
Yeah, definitely. And like we talked about, it's a mix of many different things to get the
Yeah.
business prepared for sale. But I think it's having that clarity of mind to begin with, that you're actually made a decision that you're going to commit to exiting the business at some point, and that this is the point that I'm actually going to invest in preparing for that exit. And I think that's one of the biggest clarity moments that a business owner needs to go through. Now,
Yep.
On the, I was going to say, on the motivation side, obviously, like you said, to do with entrepreneurs needing that stimulation, what are they going to do, that, all that sort of side of things. What is the main motivation, apart from sitting on the beach with some pina coladas, that people would exit their business?
There's three main categories. One is, look, I'm stressed. The business is sucking the life out of me. I wanted to be a business owner, to be master of my own destiny.
Uh-huh.
The business has taken over my life. Yeah, I'm working 80 hours a week and I'm not making any money. Yeah, that's a motivation. It's not a sellable business, but it's a motivator. So sometimes business owners approach us with that. And when we work with them, we show them how to change their business and create their business so that it is exit ready. But the benefits of an exit ready business is that it's more profitable and it doesn't require them working 80 hours a week. And they go, hey, you know what? This isn't stressing me out anymore. I got more money, more time, less stress. I may hang around for a few more years if that's okay with you guys. And we go, we're not trying to sell your business. We just want to make sure that when you are ready to sell, it's sellable. So, yeah, and as consultants, we're not taking a commission. So we're more than happy that clients want to do that. Another motivation is I've- I'm old. I want to retire. I'm ready to wind down. No problem. Another motivation is, look, I've taken it as far as I can. My skills are entrepreneurial. I've taken the business to 15 mil. I just don't have the skills or experience or know or desire to take the business bigger. There's a big business out there who can come in and invest in this business. The opportunity is massive, but I don't have the resources. It's not me. Now, you may get a PE company who'll come in and invest in you to take the business to the next level, and they're just some of the different options you can explore. Other options are, I I want to hand it over to the next generation. I'm ready to gradually step down and I'll ease myself out and ease you guys up over the next 5 or 10 years, perhaps. So every business owner is slightly different, and we've got to dig into the reason, the context behind their exit plans and their exit goals. Do they want to crank it up? Do they want to wind down? Or is it a case of, whoa, what just happened to my business or my industry? A bit like Blockbuster Video.
Yeah, and I think we'll go on to the industry in a minute, but yeah, I think the key thing is I think people want to exit on their own terms.
Oh, for sure.
That's
If
the
they can.
if they can. That's the driver for myself as well. Like, I've kind of got this thing in play that I've had since I set the business up, that I would never leave the business until I was at a point where it was on my terms. So it may be when I'm 75 years old, I'll still be on the board doing 3 hours a week, but I won't be in the business. I'll just be on my terms, doing a bit more when I want to, doing a bit less when I don't want to. But that would be my terms effectively.
Yeah. And that doesn't happen by chance, right? So the people who do that is they're very clear of what's required to make the business exitable. They put themselves through a career path as well within their own private business. And the way they do that is they do the exit planning over a staged process. And they exit through the three beneficial areas of business ownership. So what do I mean by that? The first benefit of owning a business is that you take an income. And you get an income is when the business employs you. And the first job is when you're on the tools, delivering the service, doing whatever it is you do. Then you exit out of doing it and you position yourself into a role of manager as the business grows a bit. So you become a functional manager, you become the marketing manager, you become the sales manager, you become the production or the delivery manager, for example. Right? So you've had one exit and now you're into a management role. We go for our second exit out of the management role into the CEO type of role. And we're still in employed roles in the business. So the CEO looks after all of the functional aspects of the business and they look after the business as a whole. They're not involved in any specific function. Great. Now we exit out of the CEO. So we've exited out of the employment role of the business and we're now into the control roles. Now we always had control because we were an employed person on the board, but the board is where control and strategy sits in an SME business. So that's the second beneficial area is strategy. So, and control, and which is exercised through the board of directors. So we can sit on the board, we can be chairman of the board. We're not operational in the business anymore. So I'm not taking an income, I'm just taking a director's fee. and I've got responsibilities aligned with those directors' fees and with my position as a director, and that's why I take some fees. So, and then I can exit out of the board. So I can exit out of the board, and now I'm just got equity. So I've got income, equity, and control of the three areas. And now I'm just a shareholder, much like I might be a shareholder of HSBC, where I'm just a shareholder taking capital growth and dividends out of the business. Now that all sounds fantastic, and I can do that with HSBC. But if it's a small privately held business and I'm an absent shareholder, there's a big risk for you as the owner of the business that someone's going to run away with your business. So I wouldn't encourage you to do that for too long. A year or two, fantastic, but you can see how you can now do a staged exit and your succession and exit planning through income, control, and ownership.
No, I love that analogy, and the way the steps are lined out there makes complete sense as well. And I must admit, I've thought about those steps, but never in that kind of chronological order, essentially. Um, so the idea that obviously you then exit the business is, like we talked about, is pretty much what people should be doing from day one. So starting, I guess, in the right industry would obviously help with that situation. Do you find, or do you have any industries that you tend to work in more than others?
Not industries. The clients we work with our client mix tends to be a reflection of the economy at large. So if you have a look at the economy across the UK, it's probably 70% service businesses. Hey ho. A lot of our clients are service based, whether they're marketing agencies. We've worked with various other service from IT, marketing, legal, accounting, finance based, training based, coaching based, events, you name it. We've worked in a lot of service based industries over the years. And then the rest is made up with some sort of, a little bit of light manufacture, distribution, the rest of the mix that's out there of all sorts of industries. The thing where our strength is that where the businesses have got sort of 15 people plus to sort of 50 people, 100
Mm.
people, is our sweet spot where we do our best work, and that's where it's often a business built from the ground up over a few to many years, and the founders are still in the business. That typically is where we do most of our work.
Yeah, because like you said at the beginning there, depends on the market, doesn't it? At the moment, things are changing quite quickly. You've got AI coming in, which is affecting, especially the way marketing is done. From our own first-hand approach, a lot of we were looking at it very recently. A lot of the ways we get customers just 3 or 4 years ago is almost becoming the minority compared to how we do it now, and it is all rapidly changing. So, if you had an industry that was, a business that was specifically focused in that particular niche, you may need to change the business before you can even start about thinking about exiting, all those sorts of side of things.
Yeah,
Um,
one of the things we do a lot is I sort of alluded to it earlier, is if we're working with people-based service businesses, we help them. We've got a particular processes to help them move away from selling the people. What we do in service businesses a lot is look, hey, look, I've done this a million times. I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this for 20 years. Trust me, I've got a reputation and personal brand type of thing. Now, that's great for the individual. It's not great for the business and the valuation of the business. So what we want to do is instead of that person making it up or just doing it from memory, as they've done 1,000 times before, we want to, instead of sell the person and their experience, we want to sell the process to solve the problem. So we show the clients how to restructure their sales process, package their solution as a process, maybe build some IP and modeling on how to present that process so that it's engaging and memorable. And then we'll get them and build some brand and name their product and their process so that the clients are now buying their solution rather than the person doing that. And we'll create some IP around that for them and show them how to do that and migrate down that journey. And when they do that, they tend to actually be able to sell their solution for a higher fee anyway, which just adds to their profitability and their valuation. So everything we do is we help the business owner make a mindset shift from profit growth and revenue growth to valuation growth. And that only comes when they know how the valuation works.
Yeah. No, that makes complete sense. And obviously, processing the business, like you say, it just enables the business to be away from that individual and more about the actual service that the business provides.
Yep.
The You spoke earlier about finding the right person or the right people to buy the business.
hmm
How do you get them to come to you?
That's where you need a good broker or M&A consultant, because it's not the sort of thing that you just want to advertise on Google and go, look, business for sale, come and find us type of thing, because that puts the fear into everyone. The suppliers will get nervous, your customers will get nervous, and your employees will get nervous. So it's a very confidential process, and that's where you need a good intermediary involved to help find the client, find the buyers, know who's out there sniffing around, looking to buy. And there's some websites out there with sort of lots of information on, but there's so much fictional information on those websites that it's a trap for beginners. If you're only going to sell one business in your life, like this is in most likelihood the biggest asset you own. It is your life's work so often. You're only ever going to sell one business. You want to do it right. And it's not the time to learn this first time because you only get one shot at it. So get the right advice, get the right lawyers on board, having the right lawyer on board. I can't tell you how much that's going to save you. Get the right tax and financial planning advice, and then get the right market broker, investment banker, corporate finance team who will help find the right buyers for your business. It's I won't say it's a black art, but it's a skill, and it's not just something you're going to pick up because you've been good at running a business. Therefore, you're good at selling a business.
Yeah. And I think the planning and getting the right team in place is the most important part. And the last thing you want to be doing is doing it quickly. Like you
Oh yeah.
said, you don't want to be just literally going, I need to sell this business in the next 6 months because, well, I think I said in the beginning, I've been on a business buying course, which is the opposite, obviously, to the selling part, and the focus often for the business buyer is to buy something at a point where the motivation is so high for the seller because they've got an end deadline that you can drive that price down. So if you're not going to prepare for that exit, that's the risk you take.
Well, and you're absolutely right. So buying and sales psychology strategy comes into play here, just like it does with your clients when, as a business owner with whatever product or solution you've got. There's some tension there, and your clients have an option whether to buy your product. They can, what's the cost of inaction? What's their driver to buy? Have they got an immediate problem they need solving now? Or is it like exit planning where I can just put it off till later? But then if you do that, it's going to bite you in the backside big time and cost you far greater. You're just not aware of that, what it's cost you, because you didn't do the planning. Other than
Yeah.
it's a whole lot more stressful than it needs to be. And if you only go through this once, you go through it once and you go, well, that was terrible. I'm glad I never do that again.
Mm.
But if you had the foresight years before and prepared in advance, it didn't have to be so painful. And you would have had a whole lot more money in your bank, and you wouldn't have been exposed to so much risk after the event. And
Yeah.
that's all the costs that business owners are just not aware of when they're just delaying any sort of planning. And I think I touched on it earlier, like you can plan your business to be exit ready now, learn all the skills you need to do, put it in place, spend some time with someone to help you get it exit ready, and have no intent for selling it for another 10 years. But why would you want to do that? Well, that way, when someone does come and go, hey, look, that's a really good business, Daniel. I'm interested in making an offer on it. Your business is going to be exit ready, and that deal that if it's the right price, you're not going to lose momentum. Now, I've spoken to a lot of business owners, and I go, well, what's your thoughts on exit planning? And they go, well, it's always up for sale for the right price. And I go, great. What's the right price? And they've got no idea. They're just stupid about it and go, well, 10 mil. And I go, well, but what if someone's going to make you an offer today? They come unsolicited. They've sought your business out and they want to make an offer. What's the right value that you would go, you know what? I'd take that offer. And the business might be worth, I don't know, 1 mil now, but your number is 5. And you go, well, I would never sell it for less than 5. I go, great. What are you doing today to make sure your business is actually worth 5 mil so that you increase your chance of someone and coming and tapping on your shoulder, so to speak, and going, I want to offer you 5 mil for your business because it meets all our needs. Like, get on the front foot, people. Don't sit back and wait because you're tired and stressed because you've been doing it for so long. Get help. Put the odds back in your favor.
Yeah. I really like what you were saying there about, you should build a business to sell even if you've got no plans to sell it,
Yeah.
because that way, when the time comes, you're already ready to go, or you already have the majority of the bits in place to go when
Being
you are ready.
Not being ready and having all the information that you need to answer buyers' questions is one of the biggest killers of deals. So if you're not ready, you're going to keep not being ready. You're going to be stuck.
Yeah.
It's surprising the amount of people I talk to. They go, "Hey, look, we had an offer a couple of years back, but it didn't go through." And I go, "Well, why not?" And they go, well, it just wasn't the right time for them. They changed their strategy." I said, yeah, and sometimes I just can't help myself, being a little direct. And I said, well, we live in the UK. Yeah, they're polite. They're never going to give you the real answer. What they're saying is your business was a mess. It was too much of a risk, so they moved on. But that was a
Yeah.
hard message to deliver, and it's not feeling polite. So they just say, hey, look, it's not us. It's not you. It's us. And move on. Have a look at it. Have a look in your business. Go, what could I have done better? What could I have done for that deal to proceed? Because at the time, you wanted it to proceed.
How are businesses different in Australia compared to the UK when it comes to selling a business?
Accents.
That's
Pretty much like,
there's no
businesses are the
there's no
same.
too much honest. There's more honesty in Australia, is it, or would you say that?
Look, no, look, the only differences are the cultural differences between Australia and the UK. It's exactly what you
Yeah.
expect, but all the issues in running and building and growing businesses are the same in Australia. They're the same in South Africa when I've worked with some clients over there through
Mhm.
a partner, and the Netherlands and the US. The issues are the same. The legal, frameworks around them vary a bit, and the opportunities, but the issues of growing a privately owned business through the various stages, we they're the same worldwide.
Yeah. No, exactly. I was just wondering, picking up on the the politeness of British people sometimes. Like you say, it was the strategy, that was the reason, and they're really in behind their like,
But it's just the cultural piece, right? It's just the way we
yeah,
communicate over here.
yeah.
It took me a while to learn it, but I've
So,
caught up eventually.
this podcast is sponsored by Team Building Experiences. If you're planning a team building event, away day, or corporate event, then check out team-building-experiences.co.uk and state podcast 15 in the comments to receive 15% off your proposal. So, Darryl, thanks very much for coming on today. Could you tell me a little bit more about Succession Plus, where they're going in the future, and like how many businesses you're helping currently?
So we've got 3 in the team at the moment, and a full load is about 10 clients each. We're not at that at the moment, so we're still in very much a growth phase. Where we're going in the UK is, look, if you look at the number of businesses and ready to exit or thinking about exiting, I think there should be 50 of us in the UK doing what we're doing, and spread across the whole of the UK. The market, and one of the things, I guess, why I'm sharing with you today is I just want to help raise awareness in the marketplace that there are people out there that will help you prepare your business for exit, so that when you're ready to exit, your business is actually sellable and you've got half a chance of getting the numbers that you're hoping for. If you do nothing, hope is not a strategy. So yeah, I think there's scope, and it's a new industry, if you like, helping business owners prepare their business to be exit ready. And we need a whole lot more awareness that this is something you need to do, because we've got to change that number of 1 in 5 getting a successful exit. It is changeable. It is, with the preparation, it could be 4 in 5 getting a successful exit. But yeah, to me, that's tragic, and we've got to change it.
Definitely. And, I myself have gone a little bit down the acquisition route, and we've spoken to to probably around 50 businesses in the last kind of 18 months. And I would say that the ones that were desperate to sell, as in they wanted to sell within 12 months, nearly all of them, I think, except for one, actually ended up liquidating their business. So got nothing for it at the end. And that's the risk you take, isn't it, if you don't prepare? And like you said, hope is not a strategy. And unfortunately, often it comes down to hope at the end if you haven't prepared. So Darryl, how can people find more about Succession Plus UK and also yourself?
Best way is, I'll just go against my own advice, just because I've got a really unique name. See my name on the screen, you'll find there's only one of me on the planet, and you'll find me on LinkedIn is where I do most of my PR and promotion for myself and, as Succession Plus. Succession.plus is our website. And if you're in the UK, you'll be directed naturally to the UK website. So succession.plus. And if you're a business owner and you're thinking about, hey, look, is my business sellable? Then we've created an indicator that may be of interest to your listeners, Daniel, called the Business Sellability Score. If you search that, you should come across that. If not, just go to the website that I mentioned, and it's there all on the first page. Drop me an email, whatever. We can put you in touch. It's free. It'll take a couple of minutes. You don't need to do any research around the numbers and the data, but it'll get you going with your thinking on, is your business actually sellable to begin with, and how ready you are, how ready the business is, and the numbers.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, and that sounds like a great resource to go along. And if you're a business owner out there, obviously, I think it's definitely something that after listening to this conversation will provoke the thought process of, when am I actually going to start thinking about my exit plan? And my hope is that will come from listening to this podcast today. So Darryl, thank you very much for coming on the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me, Daniel. I've really enjoyed our conversation today.
So guys, if you've enjoyed the podcast, if you could do one thing for me and follow or subscribe to the channel on your podcast listing app, it enables us to grow the show. Thank you.